Hello guys, it's me again, Alex the Hunted, here to do a to do another reaction for the second Doctor Who episode of Series 9, The Witch is Familiar. I think is it Familiar or I've got dyslexia, it's hard to read. Again, written by Steven Moffat, starring Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman, and this is the follow-up to episode 1, and overall, I think it's a much better episode than episode 1 was. For one main reason, which I'll get into, and of course, as always, there's going to be spoilers in this reaction, so if you haven't seen the episode yet and you don't want things to be spoiled, then stop watching now, stop listening, and just go watch something else or go watch the episode and then come back and listen to my reaction. You gone and done that? Okay, last chance, here we go. Okay, so this episode was, I thought, very good because it was mainly what I wanted to see. I hoped was mostly about the follow-up episode, which was just the Doctor and Davros in a room together talking, and there was a lot of great scenes that came out of that. I think a lot of great moments. It's just a shame that I think a lot of the other stuff, the stuff that happened with Clara and Missy, and how this whole thing got resolved, and this other concept, which I'll go into, that was brought in at the end of the episode, kind of just felt, just kind of felt like really lacking compared to just how good the scenes with Davros and the Doctor just talking together was. So the episode, the episode starts off with, basically answering the cliffhanger of how Missy and Clara survived getting shot by the Daleks. They survived because Missy, we're going through a story of how the Doctor survived an encounter with these, I think, invisible robots, cyber warriors or something like that. And it's a good scene, actually. I did enjoy it. It's like a good little flashback, and it's a good way of explaining how they survived instead of just saying, "Oh, this is how they survived." It's a good way of doing exposition. But then we get to what the crux of the episode is. First we get so the Doctor basically pulls Davros out of the chair that was keeping him alive, which, I don't know, something like that, of how that chair was basically a gigantic life support system for Davros. I think that the way how you see him, basically his torso on the floor, it kind of just makes me feel like the Doctor, basically I thought Davros pretty much would die on the spot if he was pulled out that much. But no, the Doctor gets in Davros's chair, and it leads to a great line the Doctor says when he goes to see the Daleks, which was, "Oh, come on, you've had this nightmare, haven't you? One of you, something like, I forget the line, but it's one of you seen this nightmare before, haven't you?" And it's kind of just fun because the Doctor's just having fun in Davros's chair and intimidating the Daleks, because he genuinely thinks that Clara's dead, and he's threatening them, saying, I'm going to kill you all unless you, if you tell me that Clara Oswald is dead, then I'm going to kill you all. And that is a good scene, and but then the Doctor gets captured again, and it leads to the best part of the episode, which is just the Doctor and Davros talking to one another. And I really kind of wish that was the entire episode, and that stuff with Clara and Missy was kind of just not in the episode. But then again, then it would have been entirely pointless to bring in Missy. But I would have just liked it to have been like a bottle episode or something like that, where it was just Davros and Doctor in a room together talking. So I mean, there's just a lot of great scenes I actually kind of don't want to spoil, because it really brings up, it would kind of ruin the impact of the episode. So I'm not going to spoil, but I'm just going to say that is the scenes with the Doctor and Davros just on the scene just in the same room together talking are the best parts of the episode. The thing I am going to spoil is the stuff that I didn't think was so great, which was the side plot involving Missy and Clara getting into the Dalek city on Skaro. It started off by with Clara and Missy going down a sewer, which again did lead to a funny scene of where Clara was looking down a hole saying, I don't know how deep it is, maybe you should throw like a stone down there to see how deep it is. So Missy throws Clara down the pit, and that was kind of funny. Also I thought was good was you know, I did kind of like that Clara Missy dynamic they had in the episode, but it's just all this. Basically, Missy all doing all this backstabbing was kind of I don't know. So they go into a sewer, which turns out is where basically a Dalek body decays to such a point where they just basically become liquid, and a sewer is basically the Dalek word for graveyard or cemetery or old people's home or whatever you want to call it. And it's definitely it's an interesting concept of what happens to Daleks when they get old or something like that. But I don't know. I would have just thought if a Dalek became inferior, or you know, was no longer of any use, the Daleks would have just killed it, would have just exterminated it because it's inferior. I don't know. That's just, I don't see the Daleks of like keeping the dead or something like that. And also, it basically is the way that they get into the city is that Missy kills a Dalek. Well, kills the mutant inside the Dalek, but it was kind of interesting because you see the way the Dalek dies, you kind of like they get behind a wall and you see an explosion, but when you see the Dalek casing next, basically the tank, everything, it's just completely undamaged. There's nothing wrong with it. So what was the explosion? I just don't get that. Then we have somehow Missy manages to connect Clara to the telepathic systems of the Dalek that basically control the Dalek tank, and I don't know, it's the way that they kind of explain when the Daleks shout exterminate by. It's basically if the Dalek tries to say anything positive like I love you or you are different, basically something like, it basically says I love you is a way of Dalek shouting exterminate, and that's kind of how they reload their weapon, by shouting exterminate. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a neat way of putting it, but I don't know if it really will. It really, if thinking about it, it really works because I don't know. I mean, the Dalek can't really have like a finger on the trigger or anything like that. So I can understand that, but I don't understand. Maybe I don't know. It's just kind of like a voice command to say reload is exterminate. I don't know. It doesn't. I think it just doesn't make that much sense. But it's not like a huge problem. It's like, oh god, that completely ruins the episode. But yeah, and Clara is basically inside a Dalek, and it gets to a so they get into this Dalek city as like Missy's pretending to be a prisoner, and it gets to the inevitable scene of where a Dalek comes across Clara and asks, why are you transporting this prisoner? Why aren't they just dead? Which kind of makes sense. That Dalek doesn't really need to keep prisoners; they were just exterminated. And they find out it's a Time Lord. It's interesting to see because Clara basically pretty much nearly blows the cover immediately, so Missy has to kind of stop the cover being blown. And it's kind of neat, but then after all this stuff happens and the Doctor meets back up with Clara and Missy, he thinks the Missy tries to trick the Doctor into killing that Dalek by saying that the Dalek that Clara is in is the Dalek that killed Clara, And I don't know, that scene just kind of felt a bit left field and just came out of nowhere, like Missy just being a bit of a prick. But you know, maybe she's just trying to get back at the Doctor. I don't know. But yeah, it gets to that. It has that scene which is interesting. It's there. It's interesting enough. It brings up this phase where the Dalek, Clara convinces the Doctor that she is Clara because for some reason, if the Dalek says, when Clara tries to say I am Clara, then the Dalek then it comes through the Dalek speakers as I am a Dalek. So she basically says mercy, and the Doctor's like, the Daleks have never had a concept of mercy, but shouldn't understand the word mercy and does not have it in their vocabulary. But here's the thing, though: in a Steven Moffat episode, this has happened again. It happened in episode 1 where Daleks, where they mentioned that Skara was rebuilt, but we saw Skara at the start of Asylum of the Daleks, which is a script that Steven Moffat wrote, and it happens in this episode where the Doctor says, "Oh, the Daleks would never have mercy in the vocabulary." But the thing is, though, the Dalek said mercy in the God Complex episode, which is the last episode of season 5, when River Song's just about to kill it. It begs for mercy. So, and that's an episode that Steven Moffat wrote. So I just get the feeling that maybe he needs to look back at his work to make sure he's not making any kind of continuity error or something like that, so he's not contradicting himself. You know, you kind of have to do that if you're going to write something like that. But you know, overall, it's a much better episode than episode 1 was. I think I think episode 1 was okay. Episode 2 is much better because of the scenes with Davros and the Doctor just talking, which is just a much better. They were just so good, those scenes, which is kind of what makes good sci-fi. It's not the huge spectacle, it's not like huge explosions, it's kind of just character moments, characters being characters, if you know what I mean. Just having character development, having the characters just talking. Some of the best scenes ever been put in television are basically just two characters talking to one another. I mean, look at 12 Angry Men. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, and it's just basically a room with 12 people talking. I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. So that sort of thing just works, I think. And that's definitely the best part of the episode. So I would definitely recommend you give it a watch. And if you like this reaction and you want to see more reactions, just view the other videos. Click if you want more to see. To know when I do my reactions for the next Doctor Who episodes. Don't forget to click subscribe and all that sort of stuff. Tell me what you thought of the episode, obviously, in the comments below. And I'm Alex the Hunted, and I will see you guys next time. You guys take care and goodbye.